Hi there, good evening and welcome to yet another session of our NMAT 2023 crash course. And yesterday, you remember we worked on RC, and today we plan to work on verbal reasoning. So I welcome you to this session and to this channel. You are on BYJU'S Exam Prep YouTube channel, and some of you are of course also on BYJU'S Exam Prep app. If you're new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe. Just for the NMAT, but for all the other entrance exams as well. And by now, if you go to the playlist, you'd see a lot of CAT sessions as well. So my name is Vikrant, and today we'd work on verbal reasoning. So what I'll do is something rather straightforward. I will take you through the verbal reasoning section. I'll tell you what all gets asked. We'd look at a bit of history, and then we'd start solving questions together. And when solving the questions together, I will tell you also need to save a lot of time after all. Okay, so that's what we are going to do. In case you happen to have any issues with respect to concepts, let's say there is a particular question type where you're pretty clueless. And you're like, what does it really mean? In that case, please do not hesitate to put all of that into the chat window. What I am going to do is that I'll look at the chat subsequently, and if I notice a lot of messages from a lot of different people, okay, no, it's not one person sending me 100 messages. If I see a lot of people talking about a particular area, I definitely go ahead and schedule more such sessions here on the channel, YouTube channel, or on the app. So let's go ahead and let us start cracking. So yesterday we talked about language skills, and here is the detail. So you know that we get 36 questions, but then you also happen to have a reasoning section where you tend to get verbal reasoning as well. So if I look at verbal reasoning over the course of last 4 years of NMAT, here is the breakup. So 2019, 2020, 2021, we had 18 questions from verbal reasoning, but last year the role of verbal reasoning increased a little more. So as you can see, we basically had 15 plus 8, 23 verbal reasoning questions, and they belonged to, as usual, the usual suspects are critical reasoning. Then you have these statement assumption questions, statement conclusion questions, you get some course of action questions, and then some strong argument, weak argument questions. But are these the only 4 things that we get in the NMAT exam? Is that all? No. We actually tend to get a wider variety. So let me take you back to the paper of 2019 where the variety that was on offer was even more, and here is that variety for 2019. So you notice, apart from the different question types that we talked about already, we actually had syllogism based questions. We had questions that tested our understanding of parajumbles. And then when I say miscellaneous, we actually had questions like strong and weak argument. We had this one summary question. So those 1 or 2 of those questions as well. So if you look at all the chapters that you need to be very thorough with in order to feel absolutely comfortable dealing with the verbal reasoning questions in NMAT, let's go ahead and look at them one by one. So there are a lot of different question types that get asked. Here is the first one, statement assumption questions. So in these questions, the examiner gives us a statement, and then the statement is typically followed by 2 assumptions. Our job is to tell the examiner which one of these 2 is an assumption type. Then statement conclusion questions. This is, I think most of you should find it easy because this is identical to identify the inference question in its approach. So of course the presentation is different, but in its approach it's absolutely identical. So there is nothing new there. Raju, can you watch these for CMAT? Yes, you can. It will definitely be useful for CMAT as well. Khushi, so this crash course is for everyone? Khushi, this crash course is for anyone who is serious about performing well in NMAT. So yes. Okay, then cause and effect questions. Course of action questions. I am including decision making here along with course of action. I am not talking about decision making as something that is separate. Then you have your strong and weak arguments, and then all those para jumbles and para summary and para ask you to strengthen, weaken, infer, assume, etc. Okay, so all those standard critical reasoning questions are also going to be a part. So let us go ahead and start our work together. I will take you through all of these different question types, and we talk about how these questions need to be approached. So ready? Here is the first question for you on the screen. And as usual, we get 5 options in NMAT. So you would see 5 options in this session, this slide as well, implicit in that statement made by the teacher, and then choose your answer accordingly. So let's go ahead and discuss. So what's your answer? What's your take? Okay, Charvi says C. Rajvi, Pragya, absolutely C. Anybody who's facing any issue? So because it's the first question, assumption is an unstated premise. Assumption is an extra piece of information which is necessary for us to arrive at a particular conclusion or necessary for us to make a particular statement. And I generally use the negation test. And in this case, I absolutely agree with you. The answer is indeed option C. So question number 1, option C. Absolutely correct. And here is your next question. So the presentation of the questions can vary slightly. I'm sorry here, I seem to have a frog in my throat today. But here is the question. Go ahead and tell me what your answer for the second question is. So, statement followed by 2 assumptions. So what's your take? Let's negate. Okay, assumption 1 says cell phones are as important for human beings as the air they breathe. Let us negate it. Cell phones are not as important for human beings as the air they breathe. Now that I've negated it, is it still possible for us to come up with this statement? There's nothing wrong. So in the statement, in the argument, the person has drawn an analogy between 2 actions, right? And assumption 1 is not necessary. Even when you negate it, we can arrive at the conclusion. So this is ruled out. And because assumption 1 is ruled out, I think we can rule out option A, option C. Okay, assumption 2, more people doing an activity is an indication of its correctness. This, on the other hand, is necessary. If you say is not, if I negate this is not an indication of its correctness, then the entire argument falls apart, right? And because the argument falls apart, we know that we have to have the second assumption, and I'm sure some of you have actually identified it as well, and that is why our answer is indeed B. Here is your next question. So question number 2, answer B, only the second assumption is implicit. Question number 3, taking you closer to a critical reasoning kind of an assumption question. Ready? So, typically, in a critical reasoning kind of an assumption question, it is important for us to first and foremost figure out the premises and the conclusion, the reasons and the conclusion given in the argument. So, the conclusion here is that Everglades is a wonderful school. Why? On what basis are we saying this? All of the students have passed the board examinations. What is the premise that I need to add? I need to add that if all the students pass the board exam from a particular school, then that school is a wonderful school. Right? So all of the students of Everglades have passed the board exam, therefore Everglades is a wonderful school. So the assumption that I'm looking for is when all the students pass, it's a wonderful school. So let's see. A, students who pass in the boards are from good schools. When all the students pass, then the school can be termed wonderful. It's not the other way around. The students who pass are from good schools. If students pass, then the school becomes good. So A is ruled out. Good schools produce great students. Where are we? Not even talking about great students. Students learn better in good schools. We are not talking about learning in the argument. We are not talking about good schools. Can be ruled out. D, the number of students passing is an accurate indicator of a school's standard. Maybe. I'll be happy if they say that it makes a school, it determines whether a school is wonderful or not. But then E says none of the above. Oh, in that case, I think D does come close. When you say is an accurate indicator of a school's standard, then calling a school wonderful is definitely an issue related to the standard, and therefore we can choose D as our answer. So here are these three different ways in which we can be tested on assumptions. With that, let's move on. So question number 3, answer is D, and so far you guys are actually on a roll, man. Come on. Okay, now here is the next variety, statement conclusion. So in these questions we are given a statement. Statement supplies us with some information, and then of course there are conclusions, and you know what we do when we need to evaluate the conclusions? True, false, can't say. So let's go ahead, give it a shot, and then we'll see. Okay, that was quick. Absolutely sensational, guys. Absolutely, yes. For 4th, the answer is indeed A. We have talked about a lot of inference-based questions, so I am not digging deep. Only when I see a difference, only when I see an issue, I will pitch in. Okay, so here is the next one. So question number 5 on the screen. What's your take? Okay, so we are getting A's from Pragya and Sushmita. Let us see. So first is definitely true. How about second? The paragraph says, is not that the men who have gone to the top are exceptionally wise. So they may not be, but they may. So what this implies is that it is not necessary for the exceptionally wise to rise to the top. It does not mean that somebody who is exceptionally wise cannot rise to the top. That is, so fifth answer is A. Here is your question number 6. Rajiv, when it comes to conclusions, we don't really look at extreme, right? We just label them as true, false and can't say. So second was can't say. And that is why we could very easily rule it out. I think we do use labels like extreme to talk about those conclusions that are generalizations, okay, that talk about all, only, never. And even then, usually we reject them because they can't say. So the idea is extreme ones are usually not true and therefore ruled out. Where the operative word is usually. So think of it as can't say instead of extreme. Otherwise the examiner may make you commit a mistake. So what's your take on 6th? Okay, so let us go ahead and check. So first up, it is talking about direct tax collections. So you know that there are direct taxes and there are indirect taxes. Direct taxes are paid directly to the government, and these taxes are levied on a person's income and profits. Okay, so for example, income tax is a direct tax. Indirect taxes are opposite of that. They are paid to the government only if one makes a purchase of goods and services. Okay, so GST is an indirect tax. So what we know is that direct tax collection of the government have increased significantly in the last 5 years. So what does that tell us? If the taxes have gone up, direct tax collection, it basically means that the income, so there are three possibilities, right? The income has gone up, the profits have gone up, the number of people who pay the taxes have gone up. So if I look at first, the number of taxpayers or their income / profits have increased. Yeah, possible. So let us say that there were only 1,000 people who were earning earlier. Now there are 1,200 people who earn. So the number of taxpayers has increased, and that can lead to obviously an increase in the direct tax collection. It's also a possibility that the income or the profit, also there were people who were in the tax bracket. They were supposed to pay taxes, but earlier they did not. Now they do, and that is why direct tax collections have increased. So it can be any of these reasons. Now, can I be absolutely certain of the fact that it has to be first, it has to be second? It can be first, it can be second, it can be both, but I cannot be absolutely certain that both the conclusions, both of these things have happened. Both of these things have occurred. But at least one of these two would definitely have occurred. Because there cannot be any other factor that can lead to a significant increase in direct tax collections. So there are just these three factors, and these three factors are listed in these two conclusions. It can be any one of those three factors or maybe all the three. And that is why I will go ahead and choose D over E. So are you sure that the compliance has gone up and it is not because the increase is not due to higher incomes or higher profits? You cannot be sure of that, right? And that is why in this question it will be D and not E. Here is the next one. So question number 6, answer D. The next question for you. This time around, it is a course of action question. I'm curious to see how you deal with it. Let us check. Let us see. If you get it right, great. If you're stuck, I'll help you get unstuck. Okay. Agrima, you have chosen E. So, any specific reason for choosing either first or second follows? Why either? Okay. So, course of action questions are basically decision making questions, right? When you decide to act, you always have an objective. So let's look at the statement. What is it that we know? Facing many financial problems, not paid salaries since April this year. April. Right now you and I are in September. April. So May, June, July, August. So we talk about 5-6 months. Now option 1 says seek consultation from a consultancy firm. This costs money, and money is something that they don't have. Moreover, a consultancy firm is not a magic wand. It is not that they will be able to come in and definitely help you. And right? And therefore, first does not make sense. They don't even have that money at the moment. Okay, second, should reduce wasteful expenditure? Yes. Arrange to pay salaries? Yes, because see, why do you hire employees? At the end of the day, every organization has a problem that they want to take care of. So they hire people who take care of that problem, right? Now, if people leave, if you don't pay them and they've already not paid them for quite a while, if people leave, you'd not have anyone to take care of the problems. So the very existence of the company will be threatened. So second does make sense, and that is why we'd go ahead and choose B and not any of the other answer choices. So first can be ruled out because you don't have money. Second, definitely yes, and therefore answer for question number 7 is option B. Let me take you to the next course of action question. Let's refine this process even further. Okay, Agrima. Oh, I read that now, huh? Okay. D. Harnoor D. Pragya B. E. Either, see, either first or second in a course of action question would be when you are not able to go ahead and do both of them. So in a way, they should be. So typically, I don't even recall a question, a course of action question where we actually chose either or ever. Okay, let us check. So what do we want to do? We have a shortage of professional engineers and doctors. Why? They either do an MBA or they migrate to developed nations for better prospects. So first course of action says, hey, tell them that they will pursue a career in their line of study for at least 10 years. Fantastic. But where does it say that they need to do it in India? It will prevent them from pursuing an MBA, but they can still move abroad. So they're not doing MBA. So an engineer is not doing an MBA, an MBBS is not doing an MBA. They're still sticking to their field, but they can still move out for better prospects, and you'd still have a shortage. So how does FIRST help you take care of your challenge? So FIRST is missing out on something very important, right? That they need to stay in the country. Okay, second, all those students who desire to change their field should be asked to pay the entire cost of their education, which the government subsidized. Can we do that? Somebody who changes it immediately after, possibly yes. But what if somebody works for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, and then he realizes that, oh, I think I need to level up, so let me do an MBA. So should you charge it then? And there are always some genuine cases who make a mistake. See, I personally know people for whom graduation was a mistake. They just passed out of 12. They did not know what it is that they want to do. They did not have a long-term vision. So they did whatever they could at that point of time. Now later on, when you are wiser, when you have a higher degree of self-awareness, should you still continue working in a profession that you don't like, or probably a profession that you're not even good at, merely because you ended up taking that one wrong call a few years ago? And that is why our answer here should be D. And here is your next question. Now this is a syllogism, right? So you remember syllogisms? So you solve them with the help of Venn diagrams, or maybe you've been taught a Jugaad method, a rule-based method, whatever method that you know. Just go ahead, answer this, and then we'll see. Okay, so I have one answer from Nidhi. Anyone else? Come on, give me 2 more answers, yaar. Come on. Okay, Sushmita. Oops. So, oh, the slide got changed. So you guys are right, absolutely. So thankfully you gave the same answer, so it's fine. So B. Rajvi, let me quickly help you look at A. So when you say some cars are expensive and some expensive are cheap, then this is a possibility, right? In this particular case, can you say some cars are cheap? So this is a case that violates A, and therefore A can be ruled out. Here is your next question. Question number 10 on the screen. All stars are moons. Guys, you are doing really very well so far. Okay, absolutely amazing. I am very, very happy with the way you have been performing. It's amazing. I was a little nervous at the start of the session because I was not sure what to expect. But I'm really very happy to see that you are doing phenomenally well. So for question number 10, the correct answer is indeed option E. Man, you guys are hitting it absolutely out of the park today. Okay, question number 11. Oof, Nidhi, that is fast. Nidhi, Harnoor, Pragya, that's fast, man. That's fast. And even more importantly, that also happens to be correct. So the answer is indeed all of the above. Okay, and with that, let's switch it up. And here is the next one. This can turn out to be tricky for some of us. Let us see. Ooh. Anirudh, Arushi, Resham, is this your answer for 12th? So I know Nidhi, Agrima, Ashish. Oh my God, you guys have managed to get even this one right. Wow. I'll tell you, I was actually thinking of conducting 2-3 sessions on the app to kind of, work on syllogism questions together. But after this, I think we don't even need question type. Okay, so strong and weak argument questions. If if you want any input from me in terms of concept, do let me know. Otherwise, you can dive straight into the question. Okay, so look at argument A. So, in a strong argument, you have a conclusion, and the conclusion is supposed to be backed up by a premise. Look at what A says. A says, yes, social service should be made compulsory for all graduates because every citizen has to give back to society. What do you understand by compulsory? But why is it compulsory? It appears that argument A gives you a reason, but it does not. It just restates the conclusion using a different set of words. There is no premise given here. It's like, should you separate from the person you are dating? And the argument that is, yes, you must separate from the person you're dating because you guys need to stay apart. I'm just stating the same thing, right? So it just creates an issue. Second is, I think all of you figured out, is weak, and that is why our answer should be D. A was a little subtle. It's a very classical logical flaw. So if you have read logical flaws, I think this is a question that would have been easy for you. So for 13th, D is our answer. Here is the next question. Okay. So all the answers that I have received so far have stated that A is not strong. It's weak. So I agree with you. This is definitely weak. I'll tell you why. So in an argument, we have some assumptions. If those assumptions are valid, if those assumptions are reasonable, then the argument is strong. But if the assumptions are not valid, if the assumptions are absurd, if the assumptions are irrelevant, then the argument turns out to be weak. In argument A, the assumption is that private transport is causing pollution and traffic congestion. A lot of people have switched over to, at least in the metros where the pollution is really an issue, there are quite a few people who are now moving over to, remember all those e-scooters and other e-cars, right? EVs basically. So in that case, pollution will not be a problem. Besides, we are assuming that traffic congestion is an issue that will be resolved if we take the private transport off the street. We don't know. There are some forms of public transports that are inefficient. Think of a rickshaw. It's inefficient, right? A rickshaw can cause traffic congestion. So that's why A is weak. Now let's look at B. We're saying no, it is not feasible as we do not have a well-developed public transport network in the country. Now if this is true, if the given premise is true, and we always treat it as true unless it is absolutely absurd, absolutely false, unless it says something like the sun rises from the west, we'll accept it as true. So if this is true, we cannot make public transport mandatory. This is a very strong reason. You don't even have a functioning public transport yet. So how can you make it mandatory? So this argument is strong. And therefore, our answer to question number 14 is going to be option B and not D. Okay, so first was weak, yes, but second, so I think some of us probably started evaluating whether the premise given is valid. And here is one more question for you. Go ahead, try it on this and then we'll see. Oh, Sushri, I'm so sorry, yaar, I missed out on your question. What do you mean by modicum of injustice? So let's modicum would essentially be a small amount of something, okay, especially something good. So modicum of injustice is that even if you are just a teeny weeny bit unjust, you'd face that backlash from people. I'm so sorry I got... I think we faced this yesterday as well. I'll have to go talk to the team about it. I don't know what's happening here. Hanji, so 15th. Patently false. And remember the example that I gave you? Something like the sun rises from the west. Something that obviously false. Otherwise, accept whatever is given to you as a premise and then check whether the argument that is created out of that is strong or not. Otherwise, it will become a GK question, yeah. Nidhi, I noticed that it is lagging in between, but I think it is not as bad as it was yesterday. Yesterday was horrible, Yesterday was a huge issue. Okay, so Nidhi's take is C. Agrima, okay, I see that. Anirudh too. So absolutely, I think yes, in this case, see, a lot of people at times hesitate in choosing both as strong because they say that, okay, on one hand I'm saying yes is strong, and then can I also say no is strong? Absolutely yes. Question number 15th, C is an absolutely correct answer choice. There is nothing wrong with it. Okay, so here is the schedule for the next few days. So on 3rd of October, on 4th, we'd have logical reasoning, and on 5th of October, we have data interpretation from the perspective of NMAT, right? So that's the upcoming schedule, and then we actually have plans to start these OMAT online classes as well. So if you are targeting the non-CAT exams, you can definitely look at that. And we will have a detailed analysis of NMAT by GB Gautam Baba on 20th of October. So do join us for that. So that's it from me today. It was a pleasure working with you. As I said, I was significantly happier. I thought that I may need to explain a lot, but you guys turned out to be an absolutely wonderful bunch. So do give yourself a pat on the back, and don't forget to like the session before you leave. Until I see you next, stay safe, stay focused, stay in touch, keep working hard. We are entering the final stretch, the last lap of our preparation in a way. So no slack in focus now. Okay? Have a great evening. I'll see you soon. Take care.